Hey, welcome back to Nat Paint That. Today we're going to be making this awesome little Christmas card, and these are the materials that you'll need to get started. Please excuse my messy workspace. This is kind of the way I operate when I'm making art, and usually you can't see my table, but I get into kind of a rhythm, and it doesn't always include cleaning up right away. The one thing I try my best to do is not to leave brushes with wet paint drying on them. But even like there, you can see how I have my paintbrush sitting in the water, and that's kind of a no-no. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to mix black with cadmium red. This is going to be the underpainting of our Christmas ornament. Just putting the paint on, trying to get it all down, but leaving the area without paint. Then I'm going to paint over with the highlight, because there's no use in wasting paint where it doesn't need to be. Then I go over that empty area with a dirty brush and white, titanium white. And it doesn't really matter if it's mixing with the other dark red color. Here I am putting on a mixture of black and white, just a gray, and I am putting it on pretty watery. If you can see, it almost looks like watercolor. Acrylic paint can act sort of like watercolor, but it doesn't do all of the things that watercolor paint can do. But watercolor paint can't do a lot of the things acrylic paint can do. They're just good for different things. You can choose to do yours in whatever kind of handwriting you like. I don't know how to do calligraphy or anything really very fancy like that, but I do like to write in cursive, so that's what I'm doing here. And just make sure that you've got plenty of water. Usually it's not good to have a ton of water mixed into your paint when you're painting on a canvas, but on paper it's just fine. This card could be for somebody that you really want to do something a little bit extra for. It could be for a teacher at school, a close friend, somebody that you love, anything you'd like to do, and you can add your own personal touches. I could see if you were going to give this to somebody that you care about, that you love, you could put little hearts on it too, and they could be red. You could even do some of the winter berries in like little red hearts. That would be kind of cute. Tell me what kinds of things you end up doing if you do this cute little project. And I could see somebody doing this in watercolor instead of acrylic paint. I would only suggest doing it in acrylic paint just so that you can practice getting a feel for the paint and seeing how fast it dries. Acrylic paint is awesome because it dries so fast, but if you're not used to it, it can be a little intimidating, but once you get used to it, it's awesome. But like if this were watercolor, I could go in and sort of keep moving the paint around. picking it up with water and all of that. But with acrylic, once it dries, it's done. It's like almost like having plastic dry. You can't really move it around anymore. I think maybe we'll make some tags too, because we like to deliver just Christmas goodies to people. Oh, I'm going over the ornament now just with straight cadmium red. I'm covering up everything, but you'll still be able to see the darks and the highlights underneath all that red. And the reason why I chose to put the darks and the highlights underneath the way I did, and you can see how it's all dry already. That ornament is already dry, and this is real-time painting with acrylic paint. It dries very fast. But the reason why I put it underneath like that is because this particular color of paint, actually most of the acrylic paints, tend to look better when they're layered. And say I just put straight cadmium red onto the paper, it would just look very dry and thin, which is fine. It just would probably have more of a watercolor look. But I wanted the ornament to pop out a little bit more than that. Alright, I'm just doing a little design here with white paint and a small brush. You could even just do a small little tag or a small little paper and do a hole punch of just the ornament, and then tie that to whatever treat you might be giving to somebody for Christmas time. Just a little more cad red right there. You can see that's what it would have looked like if I wouldn't have done the underpainting. Very bright, very, very pretty too. But it doesn't quite have the same sort of dimension. I think with watercolor it's a little bit trickier to add in the shadows and the highlights. For acrylic it's pretty straightforward. All of these Christmas cards and any other cards that I do are going to be under the Beginner Basics series. I think pretty much anybody should be able to do a card like this. This could be something that you could have your kids work on. And you know, you don't really have to buy the very, very nicest paint to make cards like this. I'm using my fine art acrylic paint because that's what I have, and I don't really want to go to the store to buy craft paint. But with using this much water that we're using, you really could use watercolors or craft paint, whatever you'd like. Voila! It's done. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.